whether you are pumping or feeding at the breast, it is the least selfish thing you will ever do in your life.
Hey, Mama Bear. Welcome to the Breastfeeding with Confidence podcast. Do you dream of bonding with your baby through exclusive breastfeeding, but worry about breastfeeding pain or low milk supply? Maybe you're struggling with breastfeeding and no one seems to have any answers. I'm Jamie, doula, international board certified lactation consultant, and mom of 5, and I have been where you are. After working through painful latches, milk supply worries, and postpartum depression, and supporting countless mothers through their breastfeeding journeys for over 8 years, I'm here to tell you breastfeeding doesn't have to be perfect to be positive. Each week, I'll share breastfeeding tips to help you prevent and overcome unexpected breastfeeding challenges so you can actually enjoy bonding with your baby. If you are ready to shut out the toxic whispers of the world, embrace your God-given intuition, and release your inner fierce mama bear, grab some coffee or your favorite herbal tea and let's dive in.
Welcome back to the Breastfeeding with Confidence podcast. Life has been crazy lately. I don't know about y'all, but this spring and the time change, I know it's been like a month now since we've had the time change, but I feel like I am not quite adjusting. We've been doing crazy things like building a chicken coop, trying to get the garden up and ready. I've got a new office space that I'm moving into, and so we've had to get all the electrical stuff wired up for that and start prepping that for me to move into. And then we've had family in town. It has just been a lot going on. But a couple weeks ago, I did a Q&A, and one of the questions asked was all about how to get your baby back to breast after bottle feeding breast milk exclusively, and what you can do. Like, is it too late when your baby is a month old, 2 months old? Is it too late to get your baby back to breast? And this is not the same as last week we talked about increasing milk supply. This is for the mom who has a very strong milk supply, is exclusively pumping, and wants to know if she can get her baby back to breastfeeding. It's a very similar situation, but a little bit different. The short answer is yes, absolutely, it is possible. The long answer is it can take a lot of work. If you are a mama who has been exclusively pumping and you're feeling that tug on your heart to get baby back to the breast, you're not alone. And I want you to know there is hope, and this episode is for you. You can rebuild that connection. You can nourish your baby at the breast. And I know there is so much emotion wrapped up into this entire conversation. I know there is guilt, there is grief, there is hope, and they're all intertwined. So we're going to try to unpack it all, and we're going to try and address it all very practically. Before we dive in, I wanted to let you know about a brand new resource that I have available for you. This is perfect if you are pregnant and have never breastfed before, but you want to know exactly how to get a really great latch from the start. It is perfect if you have breastfed in the past and struggled and want this time to be different. You've heard me say before, the truth is that breastfeeding can be hard, but it doesn't have to be. But when you're dealing with a baby who's not able to get a great latch, it can be really overwhelming. If you feel like you want to exclusively breastfeed, but think it's impossible, and you're Googling 27 different questions at 3 o'clock in the morning instead of sleeping, everybody's telling you breast is best, but nobody's giving you practical solutions for latching problems, and you are dreading that feeding is going to hurt every time you feed. It feels like a battle that ends with you both in tears. There is hope. I want you to imagine feeling truly confident as you bond with your baby at each feeding. Imagine knowing the difference between what's normal and what's a red flag for a problem when it comes to feeding behavior. Imagine getting full feedings that drain the breast without feeling like you have to battle your baby. Imagine feeling like your baby is supporting your milk supply and you two are working as a team and you're avoiding unnecessary formula and reaching your breastfeeding goals. That is possible. I've created a Latching Essentials class, which is like a super condensed, everything you need to know, boot camp style resource for you to get started fixing your latch. All right. So you're going to learn the latch technique, learn why pain is not normal, and how to adjust your latch for better comfort and connection. You're going to learn positioning your baby's reflexes so the two of you can be a team while feeding instead of fighting each other. And you're going to get answers on what's normal, what's not, and the root causes of pain or latching issues, and a plan. There's going to be no more guessing. This is perfectly designed for moms that want to get a really great start but have no idea where to turn. If you feel like you're struggling with latching and you're really confused and you don't know what to try first, and maybe you are not ready for a one-to-one consult, you just want to know if there's something small that you can do different, this will break it down for you. It's that perfect bridge between going into Google, YouTube, information overload, and getting one-to-one support. It's like that perfect blend that will let you know this is what you need to be doing. And if this isn't working, this is the next step. And it walks you through all of that. If you feel like you want a quick fix to your latching problems, this 45-minute workshop could be the solution. You can visit littlebearlactation.com/fixyourlatch to check it out and get started today. Now let's dive into today's question. So many of the moms I work with, by the time I meet with them, are pumping either exclusively or for the majority of their feeds. And none of them ever planned to exclusively pump. But they have feeding challenges and they said, well, the most important thing is my baby gets breast milk. So if I can do at least that, I'm doing something right. They feel really adamant about making sure their baby has breast milk. And so they are very dedicated to pumping for their baby. And I have so much respect for these moms because I genuinely believe that if I was in that situation and I couldn't breastfeed and my only option was exclusive pumping or quitting, I don't think I'd last very long. But I've met some moms who were absolute warriors when it came to pumping. And if you are one of them, just know that I think you are absolutely amazing. You're absolutely amazing. That there's no debate about that. Some of the reasons that these moms started pumping instead of breastfeeding, though, is because they had early trouble latching their baby. So sometimes this is because of NICU situations. Sometimes they had that sleepy baby and they were told to give formula, but they didn't want to give formula. So they started pumping and bottle feeding, and that's what worked for them. Sometimes there's a tongue tie at play. So many different things could be going on. Some moms just really like being able to see how much milk their baby was getting, but then found out that exclusive pumping was too much of a commitment for them. It was much harder than they expected, and now they want baby back to breast. There can be so many different reasons why moms choose exclusive pumping when they don't want to. And I want you to know that if that was your story and you wanted to exclusively breastfeed but found yourself exclusively pumping, first of all, your story is not over. Second of all, you haven't done anything wrong. But odds are you were probably given some pretty bad support or confusing advice at some point that led you to feeling like this is your only option. And the truth is, it's probably not your only option. Some of the reasons the moms I work with want to transition back to breast is that they are looking for that emotional and physical connection. Pumping is such an amazing gift to give your baby, but there can feel like there's separation, and that can be really hard for a lot of moms. It can be very inconvenient to exclusively pump. That there's a lot of work built into that. You have to plan a lot around pumping, and then there's the washing and just all of the logistics that go into it. And then there's practical reasons for why feeding at the breast has benefits over feeding at the bottle. And a lot of that has to do with craniofacial development that cannot be replicated with a bottle. So wanting to return to the breast, first of all, I want you to know, does not make what you've been doing invalid. Like, I don't want you trying to return to the breast because you think that you are broken or that something is wrong if you are exclusively pumping. Like I said before, you are a rock star if you are exclusively pumping. But all of the reasons that you want to return to the breast are perfectly valid as well. So I know that emotions are complex, and I don't want you to ever feel like trying to get baby back to breast is wrong or selfish. I have some moms say that it's selfish of them, and it's not. None of it is selfish. None of it is wrong. What you are doing, whether you are pumping or feeding at the breast, it is the least selfish thing you will ever do in your life. So let's dive into how we kind of start getting baby back to breast. The first thing I always do is say we want to make the breast a happy place. So first, we're going to start with skin to skin as much as possible. Baby wearing skin to skin, bathing together, snuggling together, skin to skin all the time. Yeah, even if your baby's not a brand new newborn anymore, your baby's 3 months old, absolutely, skin to skin. And then we start working on offering the breast for comfort, not as the primary source of food, just for comfort. We want to get that non-nutritive latching, right? If they want the pacifier, offer the breast. If they're sleepy or they're not hungry, they just finished a bottle but seem to want to keep sucking, it's okay to offer the breast. And this is always going to be the first step that I take when I'm working a baby back to breast. Sometimes we're going to use tools like nipple shields or supplemental nursing systems, but it's really important that we know how to use these tools the right way. There are different nipple shields on the market that I would not necessarily recommend using. Other times, I can see where those certain nipple shields on the market that I would never recommend in most circumstances actually are the one we want to use for this situation. Working with a lactation consultant to navigate using tools like nipple shields and supplemental nursing systems can be really, really helpful. The other thing we want to do is make sure that all feeding at the bottle is happening in a way that mimics breastfeeding. So we want to make sure that baby has to work for the milk at the bottle. We want to make sure that we're supporting a wide open latch. We want to make sure that we are pacing feeds. We basically just want to say this is going to be a baby-led feed, even at the bottle. We're going to take our time. We're not going to force it. We're going to mimic breastfeeding as much as possible, because a lot of times when babies don't want to transition back to breast, there's two things at play. One, there's a flow preference. They know that getting milk from the bottle is easier, so they're just not going to work for it. The other thing is they're just simply not capable of latching at the breast, and then we need to start getting into that root cause and identifying why that might be. I personally find that side-lying position is a really great way to ease your baby into breastfeeding if they're not used to it, because it kind of starts as snuggling and then baby just naturally latches. It really is a process that takes time, and all comes back to understanding why you're using the bottle in the first place. If you can understand why you use the bottle in the first place, then that's probably where we need to start. For example, if you're using the bottle because your baby was having a hard time latching, then we need to start with oral function. If you were using the bottle because your baby was super sleepy, that could be an oral function problem. It could have just been a normal newborn that you were a little anxious and overwhelmed, or somebody made you feel like you should be anxious and overwhelmed and made you feel like you should use the bottle. Sometimes it's just a matter of baby was latching fine and you introduced a bottle and now they prefer the bottle. That's usually flow preference. And so we just want to learn how to slow that down, maybe swap bottles, swap nipples, and start making adjustments based on exactly what your baby needs. And that's why knowing when to get skilled support is so important. You absolutely can figure out how to do this on your own just by following the framework that I've laid out. Start by making the breast a happy place, start with non-nutritive sucking, and slowly ease into offering the breast for meals. However, if you've already tried that and it didn't go so well, it's probably because we haven't peeled back why we're here in the first place. And I want you to remember, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Sometimes babies will be 50% bottle fed and 50% breastfed, and that is okay too. Every step getting closer to your goal is worth celebrating. Keeping realistic expectations and not expecting there to be just like a magic fix overnight is so important. But let me tell you, when it clicks, and everything can change. It is entirely possible that in 6 weeks, you could be feeding at the breast most or all of the time. I have seen moms make this transition from bottle to breast in less than 3 weeks. I have seen it take a little bit longer. I've seen it been even shorter. It really depends on the specific mom, baby dyad, their goals, and what's going on behind the scenes that might be influencing feeding that you haven't even thought about. This episode might have brought up more questions than answers for you. And for that, I want to say I'm sorry. I know sometimes I'm like, here's what you need to know. And there's probably a lot more that you need to know. But it's really hard to give you all of the nuance in a 15-minute episode because you and your baby are so unique and you have such a unique situation. And every baby does. And that's okay. So if you feel like you are ready to take that next step and you want to create a plan to get your baby back to breast, you can visit littlebearlactation.com/virtual-lactation-consultant or click the link in the show notes and we'll troubleshoot this together. We'll look at your baby's latch. We'll figure out why you're using the bottle in the first place. Figure out what steps you and your baby need to take to start working back to the breast and come up with a tailored plan that fits your real life. You don't have to Google and YouTube your way through this anymore. We can get answers. We can get solutions. You've already put so much into this. And the fact that you're even asking how to get your baby back to breast says so much about your strength and your resilience and your dedication and your love for your baby. It is not too late to fix this. Your baby can learn, you can learn, and you deserve to enjoy feeding. So if exclusive pumping just is not working for you and you want to get back to the breast, it is possible. The Latching Essentials class is a great place to get started, and then you can book a one-to-one consult for extra support at any time. Remember, you are not alone with this, and you can do this.
All right, Mama Bear, that is a wrap for today. If this episode helped you feel a little more confident or a little more prepared for breastfeeding, can I ask you a quick favor? Go ahead and leave me a review. It helps other moms find this podcast and join us in this amazing community of fierce and confident Mama Bears. And hey, if you know a friend who could use some encouragement or real talk about pregnancy, breastfeeding, and all things motherhood, share this episode with her. You've got this, Mama Bear. Trust your instincts, stay fierce, and I'll catch you in the next episode.